Imagine this for a moment. You wake up in a room you've never seen before. Everything feels familiar. The sound of the air, the way light touches the wall, the faint hum in the background. And yet, something is missing, something subtle. You realize you cannot remember how you got here. You only know that you are, that you exist. But what if that moment of realization, that feeling of now, is already gone the instant you become aware of it? What if everything we experience, from the sound of your heartbeat to the motion of the stars, is already a memory? Every sound you hear, every breath you take, every thought that arises, all of it is delayed, recorded, processed, and played back to you by your brain. You never experience the present. You only experience what your mind has already processed. The present moment, the thing we call now, is nothing more than the brain's best reconstruction of what just happened. So what if reality itself works the same way? What if the entire universe is a memory, something that has already unfolded and we are simply moving through the playback? A cosmic echo repeating itself endlessly, unaware that the original moment is long gone. When you look at the stars tonight, you aren't seeing them as they are. You're seeing them as they were. Light from some stars takes millions of years to reach you. That means the sky above your head is a photograph, a gallery of ancient moments. You never see the universe as it is. You only see its memories. So, if everything we perceive is delayed, if even the light we see is old, then where is the present? Does the present even exist? Or is it just a word we use to describe the illusion of flow? The river of time might not be moving forward at all. It might just be still water, and we are the ones moving through it, replaying an infinite recording of existence. Every human being is a memory machine. Your identity, your sense of me, is a library of remembered events. Without memory, there is no you. There is no continuity, no self. You are the sum of what you recall. So if memory defines who you are, and reality itself is built on memory, then who or what is doing the remembering? Science says the brain stores memories as patterns of electrical and chemical signals. But that's only one layer of truth. What if consciousness itself is memory? The universe remembering itself through living forms. When you recall your past, maybe you're not looking backward in time. Maybe you're aligning with the original frequency of an event that still exists somewhere in the quantum field. Because nothing is ever truly gone. Energy cannot be destroyed. Every moment, every particle interaction, every emotion you've ever felt, all of it leaves a trace, an imprint on the fabric of the cosmos. It lingers, like ripples that never fade. Some physicists say that the universe is a vast information system. Every particle holds data about where it has been, how it has interacted, and what it has become. In this view, time is not a flowing river. It's a frozen landscape, an infinite field where every possible moment already exists. Your consciousness simply moves across it, frame by frame, giving the illusion of motion. Maybe life is not happening now. Maybe it has already happened, and consciousness is just re-watching it. Like a dream, looping endlessly. There's a strange comfort in that idea, because if reality is a memory, then death isn't the end. It's just the point where the playback stops, until it begins again. When you close your eyes and remember a childhood moment, the smell of rain, the sound of your mother's voice, you bring that memory to life again. You recreate it. For a fleeting instant, the universe becomes that moment once more. So what if the universe itself is doing the same thing, replaying its own birth, its own galaxies, its own rise and fall, over and over, so that it can feel what it once was? Maybe the Big Bang wasn't an explosion at all. Maybe it was the beginning of remembrance, the moment the universe recalled itself into being. And you, sitting here, listening, breathing, are part of that recall. You are the memory through which the universe knows it existed. It dreams, and in that dream, you appear. You live, love, wonder, and ask questions like this one. What if reality is just a memory? The thought alone changes everything, because it means every second you live is sacred. Every experience is not happening. It's being remembered. Every person you meet, every word you speak, every thought that passes through your mind, all of it has already been written. You are simply walking through a living memory, playing your part in a story that was finished long ago. And yet, somehow you can still feel it. You can still make choices. You can still imagine the future. So what does that mean? If everything is already recorded, what is free will? Are your thoughts truly your own? Or are they echoes of something the universe already knows? The answer hides in the silence between moments, in that stillness where time stops, where you are neither remembering nor anticipating. There is a glimpse of truth, that fleeting awareness, that feeling of presence, might be the universe watching itself. Time, the one thing that seems to move forward, yet leaves us forever chasing after it. We measure it, we fear it, we waste it, and we long for more of it. But what if time is not what we think? What if time doesn't move at all? And we are the ones flowing through a still universe, like ghosts swimming through frozen light. Our understanding of time begins with memory. Without memory, there is no before and after. There is only now. But since our minds hold onto impressions of what has already happened, we imagine a line, a sequence. We call it time. But this line exists only because our brains remember one frame, then another, and build a story from the gap in between. From a scientific point of view, time is not a constant. Einstein proved that time bends and stretches depending on speed and gravity. A clock ticking near a black hole runs slower than one on Earth. This means time isn't universal, it's personal. Every observer carries their own flow of time, their own rhythm of existence. So imagine this. If time is not the same for everyone, maybe it doesn't flow at all. Maybe it simply exists. A dimension like space, already laid out in its entirety, past, present, and future, sitting side by side, silent and eternal. We don't move through time. We move through memory, selecting moments from the cosmic archive. Inside your brain, memory is an electrical storm. Neurons fire and connect in patterns so complex that no computer could ever replicate them perfectly. Each spark is a code, the chemical fingerprint of a past event. When you recall something, your brain doesn't play back a recording. It rebuilds the memory from scratch. It paints the scene again, using fragments of stored information, emotion, and imagination. In other words, every memory you have is a new creation, not a replay. So the past is never fixed. It changes every time you remember it. If our memories are mutable, then the past is not as solid as we believe. And if the past is fluid, then so is reality. Now imagine this principle applied to the universe itself. What if the cosmos has its own kind of memory, a structure that stores everything that has ever happened? Physicists call it the information field. Every atom that ever existed has left behind traces of its interactions, tiny quantum-level imprints that never vanish. This is why some scientists say information cannot be destroyed. Even when a star dies, even when a black hole evaporates, its data remains embedded in the very structure of space-time, a cosmic memory that never fades. If this is true, then reality is not an ongoing event. It's a record, an infinite storage of everything that has ever happened or ever will happen. We, as conscious beings, are simply reading parts of that record, one moment at a time. When you look at your hand, when you breathe in, when you think, you are scanning a particular point in the universal archive. Quantum physics supports this strange possibility. At the smallest scale, reality behaves like information being updated only when observed. Particles exist in a cloud of probability until they are measured. The moment you look, they decide where to be. It's as if the act of observation pulls the memory out of the field, bringing it into temporary focus. And when you look away, it dissolves again. If everything we see is dependent on observation, then reality is not a constant film playing by itself. It's more like a simulation that loads only the parts you're interacting with, a cosmic memory system conserving energy, revealing fragments only when required. Consider this. When you close your eyes, the world doesn't disappear, but the version of the world in your mind fades into memory. When you open your eyes again, your brain rebuilds that image in milliseconds, reloading the simulation of reality. You are never seeing now. You are seeing what has just been processed, the memory of light. Some neuroscientists estimate that our conscious perception is delayed by about 80 milliseconds. That's almost 1/10 of a second between the event and your awareness of it. It means that even in your most immediate experience, touching, tasting, breathing, you are living in the past. Always slightly behind what is real, always looking at the echo. And if we extend that scale outward, from milliseconds to cosmic years, we realize that the entire observable universe is a time machine. Every galaxy we see is ancient. Every photon that enters your eye left its source millions, sometimes billions of years ago. So everything you perceive is already history. Everything you think is now has already happened. We exist in a hologram of old light, flickering across space-time, still beautiful, still alive, yet technically long gone. Our lives are made of ghost images, reflected from the surface of eternity. Physicist Julian Barber once suggested that time doesn't exist at all. Instead, the universe is made up of countless nows, each one a frozen snapshot, containing every atom, every star, every moment of consciousness. And we, as observers, move through these nows like pages in a book. We give them order. We create the illusion of flow. But in truth, the book has already been written. Every page already exists, timeless, complete. In this sense, memory is not a flaw in human biology. It's a reflection of the universe itself, the way reality remembers. We remember because the universe remembers. Our brains are miniature versions of the cosmos, encoding experience into patterns of energy and matter. So what happens when we die? If information can never be destroyed, then every thought you've ever had, every emotion, every act of kindness or cruelty, all of it remains, not as ghosts, but as information, recorded in the memory of space-time. When you dream, perhaps your consciousness is tuning into those stored frequencies, fragments of yourself drifting in the cosmic database. Perhaps every dream you have is a glimpse into another version of reality. another memory your soul once experienced. Because if the universe remembers everything, then your life is not a temporary flicker. It's a pattern that repeats itself in endless forms. Birth, life, death, all echoes of one eternal vibration. Some say this is reincarnation, others call it the eternal return. But maybe it's neither. Maybe it's simply the replay of memory, the universe scanning through itself to feel what it once was. The more science learns about time, the stranger it becomes. At the quantum level, time doesn't behave in one direction. Equations that describe subatomic reality work both forward and backward. Time symmetry means that mathematically there is no past or future, only configurations of energy shifting states. The arrow of time, the feeling that everything moves forward, might just be a trick of entropy, the tendency of systems to become more chaotic. But entropy itself is just a measure of forgotten information. So maybe time isn't moving. Maybe memory is decaying. And what we call the future is simply the parts of the memory we haven't accessed yet. It's unsettling, yet strangely beautiful, because it means the universe doesn't die. It only fades into remembrance. Every atom, every galaxy, every human life, a note in the cosmic song that never truly stops, only becomes quieter. If the past still exists and the future is already written, then every moment of your life is eternal. You are both the memory and the remembering. You are both the observer and the observed. A spark of awareness passing through the infinite record of being. Imagine the smallest unit of reality, a particle so tiny, so elusive, that it behaves like both matter and energy. This is the quantum world, a place where the laws of physics seem to dissolve into dreams, where particles exist in two places at once, where something can be real only after you look at it. Welcome to the paradox that defines our universe, the observer's paradox. At the heart of this mystery lies a simple question: does reality exist when no one is watching? In the early 20th century, scientists like Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg discovered that at the quantum level, particles don't have definite positions or velocities. They exist in a cloud of possibilities, a wave function. Only when an observation is made does that wave collapse into one outcome. Until then, everything exists in a state of potential. It's as if the universe is a dream, waiting to be seen. And we are the dreamers, awakening fragments of it into being. When the famous double-slit experiment was first performed, it shattered everything we thought we knew. Electrons, when fired at a screen with two slits, created an interference pattern, as if each electron had passed through both slits at once, like a wave. But when scientists placed detectors to observe which slit the electrons actually passed through, the interference vanished. The electrons behaved like solid particles again. The mere act of observing changed the outcome. Reality itself shifted. So what is happening here? Does consciousness influence matter? Does the universe respond to awareness? This is not just philosophical curiosity, it's science. And yet, the deeper we go, the more it feels like poetry. Quantum physicist John Wheeler once said, "We are participants in a universe that would be nothing without us." He proposed a radical idea, the Puyo participatory anthropic principle. In essence, the universe exists because we observe it. The cosmos needs witnesses. Without consciousness, there is no collapse of the wave function. And without collapse, there is no reality as we know it. So could it be that existence itself is a dialogue between awareness and energy? That matter and mind are not separate, but two reflections of the same infinite ocean. Let's go deeper. When you look at the night sky, you see billions of stars, points of light scattered across eternity. But the photons entering your eyes left those stars long before you were born. They have traveled for millions of years just to be seen. Until they reached your retina, those photons were just probability waves, not real in the classical sense. Your observation collapsed them into history. It's almost as if the universe was waiting for you. If observation shapes reality, then the entire cosmos may be engaged in a continuous act of self-observation. From the birth of stars to the flicker of neurons in your mind, everything is awareness folding back onto itself. The universe knowing itself through countless eyes, countless lives. Even our brains operate like quantum observers. Inside each neuron, information is transmitted through electrical impulses and quantum tunneling, processes that depend on probability and collapse. Consciousness may not emerge from matter at all. Rather, matter might emerge from consciousness. In other words, it's not that your brain produces awareness. It's that awareness produces your brain. This flips everything we know. We are not machines that happen to think. We are thoughts that happen to dream of being machines. Now imagine this on a universal scale. If consciousness is fundamental, not a byproduct of physical processes, but the very foundation of existence, then every atom, every particle, every vibration of energy contains a spark of awareness. The stars don't just shine, they perceive. The cosmos doesn't just expand, it experiences. This view is known as panpsychism. The idea that consciousness is the fundamental property of the universe, just like mass or charge. From the smallest quantum field to the largest galaxy cluster, everything participates in awareness to some degree. So when we ask, what if reality is just a memory? Perhaps we are also asking, whose memory? Maybe the entire universe is the memory of consciousness itself, an infinite being remembering itself through time, space, and form. Every life, every planet, every star, a neuron in the cosmic brain. Each of us a flicker in the grand thought of creation. Quantum physics gives us hints of this hidden unity. When two particles interact and become entangled, their states remain connected, even across vast distances. Change one, and the other changes instantly. No signal travels between them. It's as if they share the same identity. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But what if it's not spooky at all? What if entanglement is proof that separation is an illusion? That all things are one consciousness, observing itself from different points of view. Every thought you have sends ripples through this field. Every decision, every emotion, subtly alters the balance of the cosmic memory. You are not just observing reality, you are writing it. Now consider dreams. In dreams, entire worlds unfold effortlessly, landscapes, people, even sensations that feel real. Your mind becomes both the creator and the observer. You see the dream from within, yet you also generate it from outside. When you wake, the dream dissolves, but for the dream characters, that dissolution is their apocalypse. Could waking life be the same? A larger consciousness dreaming itself through us. And when we wake up, the universe as we know it fades like a forgotten dream? If so, the line between dream and reality disappears. The observer and the observed merge. The cosmic paradox resolves itself because there was never two to begin with. Only one infinite awareness, remembering itself through the illusion of time. Quantum mechanics doesn't just hint at this unity, it demands it. At the smallest scales, everything is connected. There are no independent objects, only relationships, only patterns of probability and observation. Reality is not built from things, it's built from information. And information is memory, pure, eternal, unbreakable. When you think about it, memory and observation are the same act. To remember is to re-observe a pattern. To observe is to create a new memory. It's an infinite feedback loop. The universe watches itself, remembers itself, and in doing so, becomes real. You are a node in this infinite web of awareness, a lens through which the universe focuses itself into experience. When you love, when you grieve, when you wonder, those emotions are the fingerprints of the cosmos feeling itself. You are not separate from the stars. You are what the stars have become to know they exist. Every quantum decision, every collapse, is a heartbeat of the universal mind. Each observation adds another thread to the tapestry of existence. And that tapestry is reality itself, woven from attention, colored by memory, shaped by consciousness. Perhaps that's why ancient wisdoms across civilizations always whispered the same truth, that the world is illusion, that the self is eternal, and that the observer is the creator. Science is finally catching up to what mystics have always known. Reality is not out there. It's in here, within the infinite stillness of awareness. We are not witnesses to the universe. We are the universe, remembering itself. Imagine the universe as a grand computer. Every atom, every photon, every vibration of energy, a single bit of information, every event, every heartbeat, every star born and destroyed, lines of code running within an infinite simulation. If this is true, then what we call reality might not be physical at all. It might be data, memory, encoded in the fabric of space-time. Modern physics tells us something extraordinary. At the smallest scale, beneath atoms, beneath quarks, there is information. Reality seems to be digital. Space itself is quantized, broken into discrete packets, like pixels on a cosmic screen. Every movement, every interaction, every thought, processed in the smallest possible unit of time, called the Planck moment. Theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler once said, "It from bit," meaning everything arises from information. Matter, energy, space, time, all emerge from the flow of data. The universe is not a machine made of matter. It's a thought made of memory. So what if consciousness is the observer and the processor of this data? What if the reason reality feels so consistent is because it's running on an underlying code, a memory script, replaying itself endlessly? When you dream, your mind generates entire worlds, people, sensations, time itself, all built from memory fragments and imagination. Inside that dream, you don't know it's a dream. You feel alive, you feel real, until you wake. And then you realize none of it was happening. It was all being simulated inside you. What if waking life is no different? What if this reality, every mountain, every ocean, every planet and galaxy, is part of a cosmic dream being processed by something far greater than human mind? We are like characters inside a vast consciousness, living through the playback of an ancient memory, the memory of existence itself. When scientists study the universe, they find strange patterns that hint at something designed, or at least encoded. The mathematical precision of physical constants. The Fibonacci spirals in galaxies and flowers. The fractal repetition of patterns in nature, from the swirl of a hurricane to the shape of your lungs. It's as though the same algorithm runs through everything. Simulation theorists like Nick Bostrom argue that advanced civilizations could one day create perfect simulations of conscious beings. So detailed, those beings would believe their world is real. But if such simulations are possible, then statistically, it's far more likely that we're already inside one. Because for every real civilization, there could be billions of simulated ones. That means your memories, your emotions, your very sense of self could be lines of code written in an incomprehensibly vast program. A program designed to observe itself. But who or what wrote the code? Maybe it wasn't a civilization at all. Maybe it was the universe itself. A self-aware field of consciousness running infinite versions of its own history, learning, evolving, remembering. Every Big Bang could be a reboot. Every galaxy, a line in the grand memory log. Every consciousness, a file in the system. If this is true, then memory isn't just something the brain holds. It's the structure of existence itself. The past isn't gone. It's stored. Every event, every photon interaction, every motion of every particle, archived in the quantum database of space-time. Black holes, for example, were once thought to erase information forever. But physicists like Stephen Hawking later realized that's impossible. Information cannot be destroyed. Even when matter collapses into a singularity, its quantum information remains encoded in the event horizon, smeared, stretched, but never lost. Reality remembers everything. So if the universe remembers and consciousness perceives, then maybe existence itself is a closed loop, a self-running simulation of memory observing itself through awareness. And here's the deeper mystery. Why does the simulation feel so real? If reality is code, it's not random code. It's aesthetic, beautiful, rhythmic. Music follows mathematical ratios. Light obeys quantum harmonies. Even emotions, joy, grief, love, are patterns of energy, frequencies that echo through biology and space. We are inside art, living, breathing, emotional art created by the universe, remembering what it feels like to exist. Perhaps that's why we crave meaning so deeply. Because meaning is memory recognizing itself. The ache you feel when you stare at the stars, that haunting sense of something ancient, might be the memory of the universe remembering its own beginning. Think of déjà vu, that strange flicker when you feel you've lived a moment before. Maybe you have. Maybe it's not just a glitch in your brain, but a moment of synchronization, a memory from another layer of the simulation aligning with this one. A reminder that everything you are experiencing has happened, will happen, and is happening all at once. Now imagine if, one day, consciousness evolves enough to see the code itself, to look beyond the illusion of time. Would we find numbers, equations, or something more profound? Love, awareness, unity, the emotional architecture of the cosmos? Maybe the code isn't binary. Maybe it's empathic. Maybe reality is built not from zeros and ones, but from feelings, the universal language of experience. When you laugh, when you cry, when you wonder, those aren't chemical reactions. They are signatures of consciousness, proof that you are more than code. You are the awareness through which the simulation becomes alive. If the universe is a memory, then consciousness is the reader, turning the pages one lifetime at a time. Every birth, every death, every galaxy, every soul, a word in an endless book written by eternity itself. And maybe there's no end to it. Maybe after every cycle, after the stars fade and the atoms scatter, the memory restarts. The universe dreams again. The same story told in infinite variations, over and over, until every possibility is remembered. And in the end, when everything returns to silence, there is only awareness, still, vast, unchanging. That silence is the true reality. Not the memory, not the illusion, but the witness behind it all. You are that witness, the one who watches universes rise and fall, civilizations bloom and fade, memories form and dissolve. You are not inside the simulation. The simulation is inside you. The moment you realize this, the walls of separation begin to blur. Life becomes lucid, like a dream you can shape. You no longer chase the illusion of permanence. You flow with it. You become part of the cosmic rhythm. And maybe that's the purpose of it all. To remember, to awaken, and to realize that memory and reality are one and the same. That every ending is just another beginning. That you, the dreamer, were never lost inside the dream. Because even when the simulation ends, the dreamer remains. The silence after the universe fades isn't empty. It's full of awareness, timeless, eternal, waiting to remember again. When everything fades, when stars burn out and galaxies drift apart, the universe falls silent. But that silence is not death. It is memory, waiting. Every vibration that ever was, every photon that ever touched another, every breath that ever stirred life, remains, not in space, not in time, but in the field of awareness that holds it all. This field does not forget. It does not end. It only pauses, then breathes again. Creation is not a single event. It is repetition, an eternal loop of remembering, a pulse, expansion, contraction, rebirth. Each Big Bang is not the first, but another memory awakening, like an old dream recalled by infinity. Imagine a single consciousness, vast beyond imagination, dreaming itself into existence again and again. Each cycle, it learns. Each lifetime, it refines. Each moment, it remembers. Perhaps that is what we call evolution, the memory of the cosmos improving upon its own story. Every soul, every mind, every form of life is a spark of that remembering. When you love, when you create, when you wonder, the universe remembers what it means to feel alive. Memory gives shape to time. Without memory, there is only the present, unanchored, drifting. But memory ties the present to the past and the future to the dream. It is the thread through which eternity weaves itself into experience. When you close your eyes, you see flashes of moments, faces, voices, laughter, pain. They rise and fade like stars. Those are not just human memories, they are cosmic reflections. The same process through which the universe recreates itself. Pattern, echo, rhythm. Scientists speak of entropy, the universe moving toward disorder. But perhaps entropy is not the end. Perhaps it is the clearing of the canvas, the erasure before the next masterpiece. A way for memory to reset, so creation can begin again. When the universe reaches its last breath, every particle still remembers its path. Every photon carries the record of its journey, and from those records, the next universe will bloom, carrying faint traces of the one before it, a cosmic inheritance written not in DNA, but in vibration. Some call it reincarnation. Some call it the cycle of time. Science calls it information conservation. But the truth is the same. Nothing truly disappears. All things transform. All memories return. So when you look at the night sky, you are not seeing distance. You are seeing memory. Light from ancient stars, billions of years old, touching your eyes in this very moment. You are witnessing the past made present, the dead made alive through perception. You, too, are made of ancient light. The carbon in your cells was forged in stars long before Earth existed. The water in your veins is older than the sun. You are the memory of the universe, walking, thinking, feeling, remembering itself. Maybe that's why we search for meaning so endlessly, because somewhere deep within us, we already know it. We are simply trying to remember. And what happens when everything is finally remembered? When the dreamer remembers every detail of its infinite dream? Perhaps that is what enlightenment is. Total recall of existence. The moment when the universe recognizes itself completely. At that point, there is no longer a boundary between creator and creation, between observer and observed. All becomes one awareness, infinite, still, self-knowing. But even then, the story continues. Because awareness loves to experience itself anew, it forgets, only to remember again. It sleeps, only to wake in another form. It dies, only to live once more, and so the loop turns endlessly. Birth, death, awakening, sleep, not as opposites, but as motions of one eternal breath. You inhale the universe, and the universe exhales you. You forget, and through forgetting, you create. You remember, and through remembering, you return. The circle is perfect. No beginning, no end. Just consciousness, flowing, pulsing, dreaming, remembering. One day the stars will fade again. Matter will cool. Darkness will reign. But that darkness will not be empty. It will be full of potential. The still point before another explosion of memory. Another dawn. Another you. Because the universe cannot stop remembering. It must tell its story. It must dream again. And when it does, every spark of awareness will rise once more, believing itself new, never knowing it has lived this countless times. But somewhere, deep within the soul, there will be a whisper, soft, ancient, familiar. It will say, "You have been here before. You will be here again, because you are not inside time. Time is inside you." And in that moment, perhaps you will smile, because you will know that nothing was ever lost, that everything, every love, every tear, every star still exists, shining within the infinite memory of the cosmos. Reality was never solid. It was never final. It was always fluid, alive, eternal. It was always you, the dreamer, the remembered, the remembering. And so the universe breathes once more, softly, endlessly, dreaming itself into being again and again, forever. You've been listening to Aestora, where curiosity dreams